Hello friends, welcome to kodEdge. In this session, we will see how to monitor database using Prometheus and Grafana. And in this tutorial, I am going to use MySQL database. So first, we will deploy Prometheus and Grafana in the Kubernetes cluster using the Helm chart. Then we will deploy MySQL in the cluster. After that, we will deploy Mysql-Exporter. So Exporter will pull the metrics from MySQL and convert it in the format that Prometheus can consume. Then Prometheus will pull the metrics from the exporter. And how Prometheus knows that there is a MySQL exporter? For that, it uses service monitor that is defined in the exporter. So I will explain this service monitor configuration in a moment. Then we can use Prometheus UI and Grafana to visualize this metrics. So this is the chart we are going to create in Grafana for MySQL metrics, and we will also see chart in Prometheus UI. So these are the prerequisites required for this hands-on. So you should have Docker and Minikube installed on your machine for creating Kubernetes cluster. Then Helm is required for installing the Helm chart. Then kubectl is required for Kubernetes command. And last is a MySQL client, which is optional, which is required to connect your database. So let's quickly deploy Prometheus and Grafana in the Kubernetes cluster. So this is the Helm chart we are going to install on our Kubernetes cluster. So chart name is kube-prometheus-stack, and this chart is maintained by the Prometheus community. So I will attach its link in the video description. So let's install this chart in our Kubernetes cluster. So let me open the terminal. So I have already started Docker on my local machine. So let's start the Minikube. So command will be minikube start -- driver equal to Docker. Okay, so Minikube is started. So let me clear the window. Now let's run this command. So let's copy this command and execute in the terminal. Let's copy the next command. So this is the command to install the Helm chart. So this is the name of Helm chart. So command will be Helm install, then your release name. So I'm giving release name as a Prometheus and the actual chart name. Okay, so our Helm chart is installed successfully. If you want to see the chart, just run the command helm ls. So this is the chart deploy in the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so let me clear it. Now let's run the command kubectl get all. And you can see all the components are getting initialized. So let's wait for some time. And you can see all the pods are in the running state. Now let's open the UI for the Prometheus and the Grafana. So let's run command kubectl get services. Okay, so let's copy the service name for the Grafana and let's run the command for the port forwarding. Command will be kubectl port-forward, then service/service name, that will be Prometheus-Grafana, and port will be 80. Okay, so I am getting permission denied. So let me run this command with the sudo user. Now let's open the Grafana in the browser. So URL will be localhost:80. Username will be admin. Password will be prom-operator. Okay, so this will be a password. So let's click on the login. So this is the UI for the Grafana. And if you go into data source option, here you can see alert manager and Prometheus automatically get configured. Okay, now let's see the UI for the Prometheus. So let me open the new terminal and let's copy name for the Prometheus service. So port will be 9090. So let's run command kubectl port-forward, then service/service name, and port will be 9090. Let's open this in the browser. So URL will be localhost 9090. Okay, so this is the UI for the Prometheus. And here, if you go into service discovery, here you can see the services that is discovered by the Prometheus. Now next we will deploy the MySQL server in the Kubernetes. So let's search for the Helm chart for the MySQL. So I'm using Helm chart from the Artifact Hub. And this is the command to install the MySQL. So let me copy this. Let's run this in the terminal. So let me open the new terminal. Command will be helm install. Then the release name that I am giving as a MySQL and the chart URL. Okay, so MySQL is also installed and deployed in the Kubernetes. And to get the password, this is the command we need to run. So let me copy this command and let's execute this command. Let's add echo at the end. Okay, so this is the password for our MySQL server. Okay, so our Prometheus and Grafana and the MySQL server is ready in the Kubernetes cluster. So these are the steps to follow for configuring database monitoring. So once we deploy Mysql-Exporter in a cluster, we will download values.yaml file on our local system. In the values.yaml file, we need to set this basic configuration. So in the service monitor section, first make this enable flag true, due to which it will create service monitor configuration and it will also deploy it in the cluster. So here we are not required to create service monitor configuration manually. Next is the additional label section in which we are required to define label. So this label will get added in the service monitor configuration. And from where to get this label? So these are the CRDs get created by Prometheus in the cluster. And from this, we require to see this Prometheus monitoring CRD configuration. So it contains service monitor selector section, which has match label section. And this is the same label we require to use in the additional label section in the values.yaml file. Next is a MySQL section. Here we need to define MySQL related configuration like username, password, hostname, and the port. So once you deploy this values.yaml file in the cluster, then service monitor configuration looks something like this. So let's understand this configuration. So this is a Mysql-Exporter service. So based on this selected property in the service monitor will get attached with the exporter service. Next is the endpoint section. So on /metrics path, metrics are going to expose. And this is how port mapping happens. And this is a label that automatically get configured because we added it in the values.yaml file. And based on this label, Prometheus will discover this service monitor. And Prometheus will start scraping metrics from this /metrics endpoint. So let's configure this in our Kubernetes cluster. So this is an official documentation of Prometheus. And here you can find the list of exporter available by the Prometheus or the Prometheus community. And from here, we are going to use MySQL Server Exporter. Okay, so this is the exporter we are going to deploy in our Kubernetes cluster. And to deploy this exporter, we are going to use Helm chart. So let's search for the Helm chart for the MySQL Exporter. So let's select the first link. Okay, so let me click on this. So this is the Helm chart available by the Prometheus community. And here you can find the details related to the configuration of MySQL Exporter. So we have already executed this command. So let's execute this next command to install the exporter chart. So let me open the terminal and let's open the new terminal. Command will be helm install. Then release name I am giving as a MySQL-exporter and the actual chart name. So Prometheus MySQL Exporter is deployed successfully. If you want to see the charts, let's run the command helm ls. So these are the list of charts that we have installed. So let me clear the terminal. Now let's run command kubectl get services. Okay, so this is a MySQL service. Next is a MySQL Exporter service. And these are the services related to the Prometheus and the Grafana. Okay. Now next what we will do, we will copy values.yaml file of MySQL Exporter on our local system. So let me clear this window. So let me cd into the new folder. So this is the folder I have created for copying the values.yaml file. And for downloading the values.yaml file, command will be helm show values, then the chart name. So chart name will be this one. And let's copy this into values.yaml file. Okay, so values.yaml file is downloaded. So let me open it in the editor. So this is how the configuration looks like for the values.yaml file. So let's go into the service monitor section. Okay, so in this section, first we are going to enable this flag to true. Okay, because of this flag, it will create the service monitor configuration. Next are the optional parameters. So if you want to set, you can set this configuration as per your requirement. The next section is additional label. So from where to get this additional label? So let me open the terminal. So let me clear it. And let's run the command kubectl get crds. Okay, and from this we need to see this Prometheus monitoring crd. Okay, so command will be kubectl get the crd name -o YAML, and here you can find the service monitor selector section. Okay, and this is the label we have to use in the additional label section in the values.yaml file. So let me go into the values.yaml file, and here we require to add that label. Okay, so this is the basic configuration required for the service monitor. Now let's add the configuration for the MySQL section. So let's go into the MySQL section. Okay, so in this section you can configure the MySQL related configuration. So if you don't want to give password in this configuration, you can create a new file with .cnf extension, and you can refer that file in this existing config secret section. Okay, but in this tutorial I am going to use password in this values.yaml file only. So hostname will be, so let me open the terminal. We need to copy the IP address of MySQL service. So command will be kubectl get services, and let's copy the IP address of MySQL. So this is the service IP address of MySQL database. So let's paste it here. Next is the password. So let me open the terminal. So we have already extracted the password. So let's copy this password, and port will be 3306 only, and user will be root user. Now in case if you don't want to use the root user, what you can do, you can create a different user in the MySQL, and you can give the configuration for that user in this values.yaml file. Okay, so our basic configuration is ready for exporter. Let's deploy this values.yaml file in the Kubernetes cluster. So let me open the terminal. So let me clear it, and command will be helm upgrade, then our release name. So release name was Mysql-Exporter, then actual chart name, and last -f and the file name, that is values.yaml file. Okay, so values.yaml file is deployed. Now let me clear it. If you want to see the service monitor, command will be kubectl get service monitor, and here you can see service monitor is created. So let me copy this name, and if you want to see this configuration, let's run command kubectl get service monitor, then service monitor name -o YAML, and here you can see that label that we have added, right? And these are the other configuration that is related to the endpoint, and this is the port that will come from the Mysql-Exporter service. Okay, now let's go into the Prometheus web UI, and let's refresh this page, and you can see it has discovered the MySQL exporter, right? And if you expand this, you can see it is getting metrics from this address. Okay, now if you want to see the metrics that is getting exposed from this exporter, so let me open the terminal. Let me open the new terminal here. Let's run the command kubectl get services. and just copy this exporter service name, and let's run the port forwarding command. kubectl port forward, then service name, and port name will be 9104. Now let's open this in the browser. So URL will be localhost colon 9104, and just click on this matrix. Okay, so these are the metrics getting exposed from our MySQL server. Now if you go back into the Prometheus and if you click on the targets, here you can see that Prometheus MySQL exporter, and from this URL Prometheus scraping the metrics. Okay, now if you go into the graphs and if you click on this metrics explorer, here you can find the same metrics that is getting exposed from this metrics endpoint. Okay, so let's copy any name of the metrics and let's search here. You can see same metrics getting pulled from our exporter. Now next what we will do, we will create a dashboard in the Grafana to visualize this MySQL metrics. Okay, so here we are not going to create dashboard from the scratch. So let's search for the dashboard on the internet. So let's search for the Grafana dashboard and let's go into Grafana labs and search here for the MySQL. Okay, and sort it by the last updated. So I'm going to use this MySQL 8.0 overview. Let's copy this dashboard ID from here and let's go into Grafana. Click on the dashboards, click on the import, and here copy that dashboard ID and click on the load and select the data source as a Prometheus and click on the import. Now here you can see the dashboard for the MySQL. Okay, now let me open the MySQL client. Now to connect to database, let's click on this MySQL, click on the next. So URL will be 127.0.0.1 and username will be root. Password will be, let's copy from the terminal. And let's click on the test connection. Okay, so we are getting connection refuse. So let's go into the terminal. Let's do a port forwarding for the MySQL. Command will be kubectl port-forward, then the service and the service name, and port will be 3306. Okay, now let's click on the test connection. Okay, so we have connected successfully. So let's finish it and let me open the editor. Now let's run the select command. You can use any table or you can use any custom table as well. And let's execute this command for multiple times. Now let's go back into the dashboard. And here you can find the chat for the select, update, insert, and the delete command. Okay, so let's click on this triple dot here. Click on the edit. So by default, it is not giving any data. So what I found is click on this builder and change this range to _rate interval and click on the run queries. Okay, so here you can find the metrics related to the select command. Now click on the save and the apply. Same way you can do for the update, insert, and the delete command. Okay, then these are the system related statistics. So let me collapse it. And these are the details related to the MySQL. Okay, now if you go back into the select command chart, click on the edit and let's copy this matrix name. And let's go back into the Prometheus UI and let's search for the same metrics here. Click on the execute. So these are the metrics that is getting exposed from our MySQL. And if you click on the graph, and here you can see the graphs related to the commands. Okay, so this is how you can configure the exporter in the Prometheus, and using this exporter you can monitor the database metrics. So that's it for this lecture. Thanks for watching the video.